like he's rightly put it, there's been an increase in the number of students who are attained C+ and above, which means direct entry to the university. Last year, in 2024 rather, there were 246,000. 2025 has seen 270,000 transition directly to the university. Of course, the number of students who scored A as well, A plane, increasing from 600, around 600 to 1,932. Now, let me rope in my panelists who are still here. And let me begin with you, Honorable Sossion, this time around. To have 270,715, like you rightly put it when we were having a conversation earlier, transition directly to the university. I mean, it's impressive that there's been an increase or upsurge in the number of students transitioning directly. But generally, from what the CS says, what is your assessment?
My assessment is that we are still operating below the international standards. When you go to jurisdictions in the first world, is the highest significant number transits to university. And you know, a human population that is trained to the highest level is more productive in driving the economy. Education is everything. And that is why transition to such levels is on a higher percentage. Kenya doing slightly less than 30% is not adequate. The US is doing university transition rate at 65%, and they have the highest number of universities. China is doing the same, but I saw China the other day, they downgraded 100 universities to TVET. That means they're even shifting to skill-based education at that level. But here we are still grappling with the scores of students at that level, which is a sad situation. And this is a professional fact, is a political economic fact. Because in political economy, the human resource is a factor of production. And when you have the entire population as skilled, knowledgeable, and competent, then you have a more promising economy that will even create jobs. So we don't expect jobs to land from the moon and then graduates from institutions get jobs. It is about tooling and skilling every citizen. So to me, it is homework. When results are released, they are supposed to be analyzed and you get feedback. And I expect schools to go and analyze their results and address their performance levels. We expect at the highest level, the ministry and government, to analyze also and look at the quality of their education outcomes and the placement of students. Placement of students is the main thing. That is what exams are supposed to assist in placement. Place every learner. And agreeing with the boss here, we need to rework on tertiary institutions so that all the learners are absorbed. And it's not a question of, if we keep talking about this narrative, vacancies are not available. That is not a narrative because education is a human right. And when you look at it in our constitution, the right of training for the youth of this country is provided for in Article 54 of the Constitution. They have a right to training and a right to employment. And so for me, I see no reason why we should shy away. And I think the president then should even amplify this, should package it as part of the journey to the first world, that 100% transition be attained to tertiary institutions. And it becomes mandatory that every learner must be placed in some training, right from village polytechnics all through to the universities. Then schools then, the education system should work on the quality of the programs in the schools. We must mount quality teaching and learning. The quality of programs determines the eventual outcomes. If the quality of programs are poor and they are ineffective, then we don't expect anything to come out of it. Exams are not miracles, where we expect things to come from heaven, or you pray for it so that you get. Exams are tests of what has been done. So if you've taken students through effective quality teaching, with teachers who are well motivated and who are delivering quality teaching and learning, you've given them quality teaching and learning tools, because you must. And then you've taken them through a quality learning environment that includes quality infrastructure, then definitely in the end, you get quality outcome in education. So the country must think about the quality of the outcomes of its education and interrogate the processes from ECD all through. Because the Form 4 exams is speaking to the education from ECD. The Form 4 exams is speaking to the education across all the levels at the primary level. The Form 4 exams outcomes is speaking to education outcomes from grade from Form 1 to Form 4. And the country must work on quality. And quality education is about quality teachers, quality teaching and learning tools, quality learning environment and infrastructure, and operating under an environment of quality programs. Because the programs must be qualitative and effectively delivered. That brings me back to the big questions of the quality of governance and leadership at the ministry, at the TSC, at the school level, at all the levels of offices of education, and coordination and planning and delivery of education. If that is done, then we'll get to Singapore, not in 2055, but by 2040. So we must be deliberate as a country and know that for us to transform our economy within the context of political economics, then we must equip every human being, every learner in our school with requisite competencies, requisite skills, knowledge, and competencies. Our universities should be the epicenters and crucibles of serious quality teaching, serious research, serious community outreach, and our universities should pioneer innovation, manufacturing, and technology.
Fair enough.
So when you talk of Singapore, Singapore did not get to where they got to without education. They worked on education. Korea worked on education. Malaysia worked on education. And I'm sure the president is seized of all this matter, and that is why the president is hands-on with programs in education. Maybe what we need is Kenyans to feel the quality of leadership across the institutions and within our schools. And I am sure, let us remain optimistic as a country, but let us not sit and just pray. Let us work hard and ensure that the right things that must be done are done, so that the quality of education outcomes in Kenya remain competitive and the best in the world.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Aruku, what is your assessment? 634,000, candidates scoring D+ and above. And, again, there's one concern. One thing that I've also noted is that we had 996,000 registered candidates, but only 993,000 sat for the examinations. That is a deficit of at least 3,000. But again, we talk about male or let me say boys being the endangered species. Again, the CS highlighting that for the second year running, girls were more compared to boys. That is in regards to the candidates who sat for the KCSE examinations last year. But as a person in the space, education space, agitating for better education, agitating for improved facilities and all that, what is your assessment of these results?
Thank you very much. One, I think first let's congratulate all the students whose results have been released today. And also to the 1,180 whose results have been cancelled due to malpractices. That was not a good thing to be involved in malpractices. We don't know the reasons. We hope they'll be given a second chance somewhere because I don't think our education system should be condemning people unheard or just because certain mistakes happened. We should be actually talking about zero tolerance to malpractices. But these are children. They need to be guided. This is not the time to throw them into the dustbin. The third thing would be looking at the 362,000 who have gotten between E and D.
Plain, yes.
This is a category that, because, the CS talks of the pass rate, we've had the pass rate where we had the 634, those who got D plus and above. But these ones who got E up to D, an outreach is required to help them understand that they are also not being condemned, that they are upstairs not very sound or strong. We should start talking of which opportunities exist for them to thrive in, because you see there are so many ways of helping these young guys to find their bearing. And indeed, they could be hands-on people, guys who see and do, and they'll even be more proficient in whichever area that they take. So they should be encouraged and trying to do that. But I'll go back to a point I'd raised earlier. What do we do with these results? Normally, it is not just about celebration and seeing how so-and-so has scored so highly and all that. From the ministry side, they should be checking at what made so many of these children not to get the pass mark, because it is an indicator of something. So that kind of rapid assessment of what was the situation like, so that then you address that fault line. For instance, if you find that many of the children were in schools which were not well equipped, the tools for teaching and learning and all, the infrastructure generally, including the laboratories and all, were lacking. You find that even administration within that area was a problem. The general environment, including when I talk of administration, not just within the school, but even outside, that touches on security, that touches on interaction with the society nearby, hoping that issues of drugs and all that, these challenges that affect the younger generation at that age. So this is the time to address and assess what could be the factors that were at play that led us to such results. And once those are addressed, and then we'll keep on improving. Because if they are not addressed, it means we'll still be pouring water into that rugged terrain, and the outcome would still just be the same. So let us continue to use this as a tool for objective intervention to address the challenges or the problems that we are having. And let me also come back to where my brother Sossion was saying that if we do not invest in education, the dream of the first world and all that remains a pipe dream. And he mentioned a number of countries, but I want to ask that even as we look at Singapore, Malaysia and all that, have our people within the Ministry of Education and the technical leadership and even at the top, have they looked at the Project 2011, the Project 211 and 985 of China? It has a bearing, because when a government, when a nation decides that this is where we want to go, as an interest for the Chinese community, they said, we want to implement a robust education and training system that would take care of all cadres of developing our human capital, including the TVET's level and all. So their Project 2011, for instance, started with, we identify 100 public universities and equip them to be top of the world university. They did that. That was in 95. In 1998, they said, we actually want to ensure with all the provinces, the same way in Kenya we have counties and all that. They said in all those provinces, they also wanted to identify those lead institutions and equip them. Equipping them meant that they were not necessarily relying on tools outside, but they are equipping them just to ensure that they produce the best. But they also had a scheme within themselves. Within that, I'm just unpacking, when a government wants to take people to that higher level, you must be deliberate. You must plan for it, and you must invest funds in it, and you must be disciplined in following it. They followed it to the letter, to the extent that if they realized that they did not have a training opportunity, a faculty that was producing something, and they had, they used their embassies and everywhere. They had that in country X, if it is in the US, that there's a university that is producing top-notch or training top-notch aeronautics, for example, aeronautic engineers. They'll sponsor their students to go there, and those students come back. Those are deliberate measures that you take. In Kenya right now, education should be made to work so that a lot of these we can do them right here in Kenya, ensuring that right at the basic level, from pre-primary to the grade 12 or Form 4, that we get it right, in that all our children are at all time in school during school days, not that they drop out of school. And two, as they are there, that all our teachers, the teachers that we require, the teacher complementarity, are also there and continuously being developed so that they are in tune with the escalating system of the world, because we should not be left behind. We should try to be ahead of everybody. So for me, I think we can get that right. And we should also, even as we deal with that, there's a component of information here. Just sharing information, communication. That information is required. Why? Because as we speak now, not all the students who did the exam, the 996,000, they have adequate information on how to transition to whichever area. So when we talk of 100% transition, there should be, I don't know whether it requires the CS and whoever I can delegate to be the spokesperson that constantly engages the public and Kenyans and tells them of what is happening. I thought he should have been that spokesperson that keeps on making Kenyans understand and know where the opportunities are and such things. So that communication, the information is required, let it be made available in time.
Okay, fair enough. Even as you wind up, Honorable Sossion, your parting shot, kindly.
My parting shot is that because the dominant message in the country, which the president has ably led as a vision carrier of the country, is that we must take the country to the first world by 2055. What it means is getting everybody out of the pockets of poverty. That is what it means. Getting all the households out of poverty, out of many development strategic measures within segments of serious strategic plans that will be undertaken. And in the first 10 years, infrastructure will be done. The obium of moving Kenya to the first world is quality education, quality education, quality education at all levels, inevitably in a simplified manner. And so I urge that we rethink the quality in every aspect, in all institutions, beginning with governance and leadership and programs and coordination. Quality leadership at the ministry, quality leadership at the TSC, quality leadership in all other institutions related to education, whether it's KICD, whether it's NEC, quality leadership at the school level, quality leadership at all administrative units of education, and then quality programs. And of course, continue investing. I dare say the country has done very well in putting money in education, but we don't have accountability structures to demonstrate the outcomes of and the effect of the funding. Could it be that even the 350,000 are the students who have been disadvantaged by poor implementation of the programs of the funding that has gone to education?
Okay.
There are a lot of accountability questions. Work begins now.
Okay.
Moving to Singapore, to South Korea, to Malaysia, and all of them, including China, it begins with education. And Mr. President, crack the whip without giving exceptions. Give no one exception. Those who fail, let them go. And those who must deliver, they must be there to work, because the human resource of the country is the engine of transforming the economy to the first world.
Okay, Mr. Oruku, to be fair, in another minute, kindly, your final words.
Thank you. Initially, I also thought we would have the chance for the transitional issues, grade 10. But maybe let me just have a point on that, because
you can address that in your final submissions, kindly.
Yes. Okay. I think ideally, the kind of confusion that we have witnessed should not have been there, and it should be addressed and arrested, like yesterday. The grade 10 are reporting on Monday. The ministry has got a mechanism to ensure that no child will be frustrated and prevented from accessing grade 10. They should ensure that, otherwise we'll be having a dropout or fallout, and we will continue increasing the numbers who are out of school. That we should minimize. The resources that have been transmitted, I think the 44 billion Kenya shillings that the minister did announce, it should help us to understand in detail what it constitutes, because looking at the figures of last year, there are areas that were yet to be remitted to the schools, and the schools are having pending bills. Can we have these schools being helped to address those pending bills, so that even as we move forward, we are not having them strangled with the burden of the debt of what they incurred in the past. And finally, the issue of the teachers, the JSS teachers who have instead been continued as interns for the second year. I think this, to me, is against the Constitution. And the president should crack the whip. He should demand that all these agencies comply with the Constitution, because the TSC has only a register of qualified and trained teachers who should just be recruited on permanent and pensionable and made to work, so that we do not continue making them plead and beg, and each and every moment we see them in the streets demonstrating. They require to plan very well. And now, with the transition into the senior school, I think the re-engineering of the teachers who are there at the high school, which now they are dealing with the grades 10, they should now be made aware of the dynamics that the new curriculum with the pathways as being done really can meet. Because you remember, the pre-technology issue was a challenge at the JSS because of teachers.
Okay.
Can that be addressed now? Those gaps should be sealed, so that we do not continue carrying this forward and forward. And finally, I think to the parents, it is important to know and make the parents understand that free and compulsory basic education is not a suggestion. It is a directive by the Constitution, and they should help in implementing it. Where they're being asked to make unnecessary or unwarranted payments, they should complain. They have a parents association. I'm speaking to the National Parents Association. Let them be vocal. Let them speak about this. And starting from the schools, because that is where the PA structures are, let them also voice some of this and help and exert accountability. I talked about auditing how the capitation funds are being used in school. Is mandatory now. We must do that and align those funds with the infrastructure that are being developed there. If none, we should ask where those funds have gone to.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Boaz Oruku, who is a policy advisor with the Elimu Bora Working Group, as well as Mr. Wilson Sossion, who is an educator. Now that wraps up this particular conversation. But remember, we are still bringing you continuous coverage of this particular day on the release, of course, in regards to the release of the national examinations, the KCSE, that was done in 2025. And remember as well, the ministry has announced and NEC has announced that this time around, unlike the previous years, you cannot access the results via a short SMS code, but via the NEC website. We are taking a brief breather. I'll be back with more, including reactions from different parts of the country. Do stay with us.